The humid air of Manila buzzed with the usual chaos, the blaring jeepneys, shouting vendors, and the rhythmic honks of tricycles weaving through narrow streets. Among the noise and movement, a barefoot boy of around 12 stood on a cracked sidewalk near Quiapo Church, clutching a broken guitar with only 3 strings left. His name was Miguel Santos, and his voice, though unheard by the world, carried the kind of pain and beauty that could silence even the noisiest crowd. Every morning, Miguel woke before sunrise to help his mother sell churro and banana queue near the bus terminal. His father had passed away when Miguel was 6, a fisherman swallowed by a stormy sea, and since then, life had been a constant battle of survival. But every night, after the streetlights flickered on, Miguel would sing. He sang to the moon, to his father's memory, and to the unseen angels he believed were listening. His voice was raw, haunting, and pure, the kind that could make you cry without knowing why. One rainy afternoon, as people hurried under umbrellas, Miguel sat under a small awning outside a convenience store. The rainwater dripped from his hair, his torn shirt clung to his thin body, but his eyes, those dark, hopeful eyes, stayed fixed on the crowd. He lifted his guitar and began to sing "You Raise Me Up." His voice rose above the noise of rain and engines, trembling but powerful, cutting straight through the air. At first, nobody noticed. People were too busy escaping the downpour. But then, an old woman carrying groceries stopped. Then a student. Then a street vendor. Within minutes, a small circle formed around the boy. His voice filled the street, fragile yet full of faith, broken yet bursting with soul. Some people took out their phones and began recording. By the time Miguel finished the last line, "You raise me up, to more than I can be," tears streaked the faces of strangers. Someone started clapping, then another, until the whole crowd cheered and whistled. Miguel looked down, shy and trembling. He wasn't used to applause. He only smiled when a little girl handed him a single 10-peso coin. "Kuya," she said softly, "you sing like heaven." That night, for the first time in years, Miguel and his mother ate fried chicken instead of rice and salt. She cried quietly as he told her what happened. "Maybe, Mama," he whispered, "maybe I can sing for Papa, and for you, for real someday." 2 days later, one of the videos from that rainy afternoon exploded online. A college student who had filmed it uploaded it with the caption, "This poor boy in Manila made me cry today. His voice is a miracle." Within 24 hours, it hit 1 million views. Within a week, international news outlets picked it up. Miguel didn't even know what viral meant until a man in a clean shirt and expensive shoes came to their small shack. He introduced himself as Rico Alvarez, a producer from a famous TV network. "Miguel," he said, kneeling to meet the boys. "Children with music education and shelter." Miguel, the boy who once sang barefoot under the rain, now helped hundreds of children find their voices too. But not everything was easy. Fame came with exhaustion, confusion, and longing. Some nights, Miguel would lie awake in his hotel room, missing the smell of his mother's cooking, the laughter of his friends by the river, the quiet songs to the moon. One evening, before a big performance at Madison Square Garden, he asked his manager, "Can I go home after this?" She nodded, understanding. "Of course, Miguel. You've given so much. Go home, they're waiting." That night, Miguel walked onto the grandest stage of his life. Thousands of people filled the arena, lights flashing, cameras recording. He stood in the center, a tiny figure against a sea of faces, and began to sing "Imagine" by John Lennon. His voice was stronger now, trained and polished, yet still carried the same soul that had once echoed under a Manila awning. Halfway through the song, the giant LED screen behind him lit up, showing live footage from the Philippines. His old neighborhood, the church steps, the children who used to beg beside him, his mother standing among them with tears in her eyes. The audience gasped. Miguel's voice cracked midline, overwhelmed by emotion. The crowd began to sing along, thousands of strangers from different countries, all united in one song. By the time the final note ended, the arena was silent except for the sound of sobs. Then came the standing ovation, 10 minutes long, endless, unstoppable. Miguel bowed deeply, tears streaming down his face. He didn't see it as his triumph, it was theirs. His father's, his mother's, every child's who ever believed they were unseen. After the show, Miguel returned to the Philippines quietly, without cameras. He built a small music school near his old neighborhood using the money he had earned. There, barefoot children now sang with joy instead of hunger. He taught them not just how to sing, but why to sing. Your voice, he told them, is the only thing the world can't take away. Use it to heal, not to hate. Years later, an international documentary crew returned to film what had become of the street angel of Manila. They found Miguel sitting under the same awning where it all began, surrounded by children playing guitars. His hair was longer, his smile softer. When asked if he ever wished for fame again, he simply looked up at the sky and said, "Fame fades. Music stays. And kindness, that's the real song." That night, under the glow of streetlights and stars, Miguel sang again. No cameras, no microphones, just his voice, rising through the humid air, wrapping around the laughter of children and the whisper of the wind. The same voice that once brought strangers to tears now carried peace, the kind that comes from knowing you've given back more than you were given. As his song drifted through the night, a foreign tourist passing by St. Eyes, people around the world are talking about you. How would you like to sing on television? Miguel froze. He couldn't believe it. His mother covered her mouth, whispering prayers in Tagalog. They had never even owned a TV, and now, Miguel was going to be on one. The next week felt like a dream. For the first time, Miguel wore new clothes, not borrowed, not torn. He was driven to a bright studio filled with lights, cameras, and strangers who smiled too much. But what overwhelmed him most wasn't the stage, it was the microphone. He had sung into empty air his whole life, now his voice would echo through speakers and screens across the world. When the show aired, the host introduced him as the street angel of Manila. The crowd cheered, but Miguel's hand shook. Then, remembering his father's voice saying, "Sing like the sea, don't be afraid to crash," he took a deep breath and began. He sang the prayer, first in English, then in broken Italian he had practiced by listening to street radios. His voice soared, delicate, trembling, but filled with such emotion that even the cameramen wiped their eyes. The audience stood before he finished. People at home felt their throats tighten, unable to explain why this small boy's voice felt like a cry for every broken dream in the world. By the time the last note faded, there was silence, then thunderous applause. One of the judges, a foreign artist visiting the show, had tears streaming down her face. She pressed the golden buzzer. Gold confetti burst into the air, swirling around Miguel as he fell to his knees, crying into his hands. His mother, watching from backstage, ran to him, hugging him tightly. "You did it, Anak," she whispered. "You showed them your heart." That clip went even more viral than the first. Within days, international networks invited Miguel to perform. Donations flooded in from viewers around the world, not just for Miguel, but for other street children featured in the same district. A famous vocal coach from Los Angeles offered to train him for free, saying, "This boy's voice isn't just talent, it's truth." Months passed. Miguel's life transformed faster than he could understand. He flew on a plane for the first time, his tiny hands gripping the seat, his face pressed against the window, eyes wide at the clouds below. In Los Angeles, he performed at a charity gala to raise funds for homeless children. Celebrities in glittering gowns and suits listened silently as he sang "Bridge Over Troubled Water." When he finished, there wasn't a dry eye in the room. But what shocked everyone was what he said afterward. Holding the microphone, his voice shaking, Miguel said, "Thank you for helping me, but there are thousands of kids back home who still sing to survive. I don't just want to sing for myself anymore. I want to sing for them." That moment changed everything. Donations doubled. A foundation was created in his name, Voices of Hope, to support street. Stopped and whispered, "Is that him? The boy from the viral video?" An old woman selling balut smiled and said proudly, "Yes, that's Miguel. But we just call him our angel." And somewhere deep in the city, above the noise of jeepneys and chatter, you could almost hear a whisper in the wind, like a father's voice saying, "You did it, son. You raised them up." Moral and message. The story of Miguel reminds the world that greatness isn't about where you're born, it's about what you do with the voice you're given. His journey proves that compassion can turn pain into purpose, and that one act of kindness, even listening to a poor boy sing in the rain, can change countless lives. When hearts open, miracles happen. And sometimes, the most beautiful voices are the ones that rise from the humblest streets.